So, on this average cast, we talked to Drew, a younger guy in the army who is marrying outside of his culture and coming to terms with that. This one's a little disconjointed as our initial recording got interrupted due to our sort of open format. You'll find somewhere in the middle we split into that, and then I let him record like a ending bumper. The ending bumper is pretty good, I think. So enjoy or don't. Yeah. So welcome back. I don't know why you agreed to do this, and we'll see what edits we can do to fix the rest.
Yes, please. Just like cut out fucking Jeremy 100%. I know that sounds bogus, but whatever.
Hey, these things happen, man. It's such a weird and open project that has absolutely zero traction. This project could use kitty litter immediately.
Sawdust sand kitty litter. I like it.
Yeah, I just need some weirdo who has some clout to pick it up and go, yeah, I'll do that.
Remind me when it's like anyone that's not my dad or like my brother, if you will. I will help you with these. I feel like I could ask like the questions.
See, that's the thing. It's not a question and answer format.
No, it's not, but it's more or less open-ended, and you're trying to understand people. I think that's kind of more what you're geared towards trying to do,
Yes,
I guess.
yes. As a robot, it is my deepest dream to understand people. So help me understand people.
See, I'm also a robot through the army, so it's okay. We can both try to help understand people together.
Yeah, like I see them together, and they're always, they're just these greasy meat bags wrapped in
Meatwads?
t-shirts. Yeah, and they're just wrapped in t-shirts and jackets.
Exactly. Zero personality. I like it.
A lot of people. I mean, I have zero personality.
Also, same.
So, you know, uh, I met someone once who said I don't get female cats because they have no personality.
Yikes. Well, they're also dumb, but I would call people out on that, so it's okay. I think that's what you need. You're too nice, and I'm too real.
Oh no, no, no! That niceness is affected. It's not.
That's correct.
Yeah, understand that the niceness is just a requirement.
It's all has a purpose.
Well, see, I'm not tied to that requirement. See, you see how this works?
All right, what am I doing?
So,
I thought
anyways,
you were going
we
to bed.
I'm,
Sorry, I'm talking to you.
I
We're
am about
listening, but we're also like here together.
That's kind of 15
Eight.
I know. I can't fucking see.
Middle.
I'm
Middle.
a little high.
now we're back to the wine, red wine.
No, see, I'm
Yeah.
drunk. He's high.
Yeah.
Drinking high at the same damn time,
We're faded together.
faded together. If my father listened to these things, he'd be like, "What about that father and son you had on? How come you can't come over and do that?" Like, I fucking stay high for 4 hours at a time, bro. It'll be dark out when I leave. It's
See,
actually,
yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say? It's
uh,
actually
it's 100% like the most hilarious thing. Like, oh, I get high, and I'm like high for fucking ever. Oh, I get drunk and I fucking drink a bottle of water, and I'm like, get the blood alcohol test. You guys want to see something funny? Be like down a fucking. You ever see a video of someone jam the straw in like a fucking fifth of something and just down the whole thing?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because it
the
takes out the air.
yeah. So you can drink the whole fucking bottle and go. I'm the
Yep.
type of motherfucker, and I don't know what genetics led to this. Um, but
Alcoholism.
no alcoholism, man. But I don't know what
So
genetics.
so you think.
No, it's not in the family tree, and it's not something I don't like. I've never gone, even when I drank like heavily for a long period, I was never like, oh man, I can't stop doing this.
So everyone starts there. Everyone's like, well, even regardless of past experiences or familial traits, is that the word you're going for?
Yes,
Anyway, right? We're all great in our own minds. So regardless of what happens or like what genetic capabilities we have, those underlying tendencies exist regardless. So like how about this, right? So like precursor. My whole family's alcoholics. I'm not an alcoholic, but that's just the way I feel. That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't have those tendencies or strengths, weaknesses, however you want to look at that.
suppose I should read something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe
Well,
tangent for no reason. I got you. It's okay.
well, I thought you were gonna have more to that. So I get what you're getting
N-
at, you know.
No,
And
I
I'm
mean it's just
not.
like yeah, go.
Well, what I'm trying to say, it's not at all like you know, is I guess if you start drinking every day, co- constantly for 6 years, you're probably gonna turn into an alcoholic.
Well,
Well,
And
it's not
here's
even
my
like
thing.
it's not even like 6 years, right? So like what I was saying is that like I come from a family of alcoholics, right? So like if I drink one time, I may become an alcoholic.
I don't agree with that either.
Well, it's just like any.
Here's
Well,
my
okay,
thing.
here he's
Here's my
better than
thing.
me, I guess.
It's why you drink. It's
that's a
not what
big
you.
thing.
It's not
Yeah.
what you drink. It's not. It's not how often you drink. It's why you drink.
I would 100% agree with that. I had a brother, and he was every day. Like I'm talking, one time he tried to quit, and he just was such a heavy drinker by then that you know he had the fucking
I have
symptoms
one
that
too.
happen. He had the heart palpitations. He had all that. And he drank because he did not want to be alone. And it was
Yeah.
shockingly obvious he was the life of the party type person. It was incredibly obvious.
So can I ask a real question, right?
You said that.
You said had, and I hate to be an ass. Does it mean he's no longer with us,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah. I've told this story 100 times. He was drunk one night and shot himself in my kitchen, and I cleaned it up
uh, I'm sorry.
after
Like
finding him.
I'm not the bedside manner kind of person, but I do
Ah,
feel
I
Yes. So you and I agree that um, alcohol abuse is based on why you drink, not necessarily how much or how often.
yeah. I mean, well, there's still always going to be the chemical factor, you know.
Absolutely,
So like
absolutely. There's
trying to
always going
come
to be
down.
the physical portion of it as well. But what I'm saying is like I drank to escape. Couldn't deal with the shit I was dealing with. Didn't know how to deal with the shit I was dealing with, so I drank so I didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also, let's say you get past that and you finally get past the trauma or trouble that's causing that, you can still very much be in the point where you're like, I want to quit. Um, I'm drinking now because I don't want to have the shakes and heart
Yeah,
palpitations that go with
because
it.
of the physical
and
Yep.
addiction.
yeah, so that would be more like akin to my family in general, right? So like recovering alcoholics is a real thing. So
Yeah, it's funny, I don't drink anymore, but I manage a liquor store.
yeah, I was worried
See,
about it. I won't lie, but it is what it
all
is.
but that's probably a good sign that hey man, you've gotten past
I ain't
what
fucking
caused
worried
you to
about it.
drink and now you're past the physical part. So you're probably in a good place at that point.
I mean, I've had a few slips. I'm not gonna lie,
No one's
but
perfect.
overall, fuck, I think I'm doing pretty goddamn good. At least I'm getting my life back on track, and I'm working. I got a good job.
See, this is why I said you should have an interview with him. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
dude, well the goal my goal is man, just talk to every person I can. Make those stories that people can hear.
So how about this, right? It won't be like fucking Joey where it's like
Hey,
dad's
one
not going to suggest
second.
people need to smoke
One
meth as
second.
kids.
One second. One
Yeah.
second. Yo.
What I was going to
Let's.
say is that like my dad's not going to be like, you know, Joe where he's got to like tell
Well.
kids to smoke meth to be like, hey, this is why you shouldn't do this, or like you should try it once. Like he's not
Well.
going to do that,
Well.
but
If
you
my.
know, yeah, go.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was gonna say if my goal is just to interview as many people as possible and put those stories out there, it's no bueno if every story is the same. If every single
Well,
person's like,
yeah.
"Hey, as a kid, you should smoke meth," like, come on, man.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. That shit when I listened to it like blew my mind. I won't lie. Like no one. Okay, how about this? In my view, no one should say, "Hey, smoke meth" once because you know, like you know the feel or like whatever the fuck. I'm not gonna tell people to do that.
What is he doing in the real world?
Hmm?
What is he doing in the real world?
What does Joe do in the real world? Oh, yeah, Navi. What do you do in the real world? My old
Oh,
man's
I don't
like
really do anything, man. I exist.
no, I mean like your vocation.
Oh, I've told you, man. I look at
I know, but he wants to know.
I look at photos and say yes or no if it's covered or not.
Oh, he's an adjuster.
You're an
Yep.
adjuster?
Yep.
Alexi? Yeah, there you go.
I was a farmer's insurance agent for 12 years.
Yeah.
So we, well,
I
like
had
together.
Oh,
Yeah.
you might not have heard that.
Did you
No,
hear
no.
what he said?
Yeah. I was
Oh.
gonna say, actually, a lady I knew when I was younger, and I even got my car insurance through her. She was like, "Yeah, you do this, and get your license. Go be a car insurance person."
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind being the person who like drives out to places like shops and goes, "Yeah, that shit's totaled. Here's
So
a
that's an
check."
insurance adjuster. So wait,
Yeah.
what do you specifically?
He's an over-the-phone adjuster.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I look at photos
He's
and
not an in-the-field adjuster.
I got you. He's not a field agent. He's a secondary agent.
the best
So that's
way,
what
and
I'm going for. A lot of companies are going towards you take pictures, you send in your pictures, you take your car to the shop, we compare the pictures to the estimate, and we decide whether or not it's going to be covered.
Yep. So now
And how much
here's
we're willing to pay for.
yep. So here's the one caveat, and I can't say what company I work for, and it's not one that calls old people at night. I work for the mechanical side of things. So I'm the one that goes, yeah, that transmission's shot. Here's what the prices should be, and this is what we can cover.
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
But understandably, because there's a lot of hate for this, and I would never work at one of the ones that call grandma at 9 at night through an auto dialer. These are ones that you can only purchase, and honestly, all of them, I say yes to more things than I say no. By a long shot.
Yeah. Probably one of them.
I think we know, but it's okay.
Yeah, I would prefer not to. That can be off the record.
Even if it was on the record, it's not like okay. So how about this? Together, Dad and I have like 20 years probably insurance background, so you're not gonna hurt or hinder our knowledge of what does work or doesn't work. I suppose. Just from a different view, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when you're in the car insurance side of things, a lot more body damage with a little bit of mechanical. Mine's is purely mechanical.
Yeah, no. I get what you're saying. 100% get what you're saying.
So it's all
Yeah,
like
you gotta be
your
unbiased in your job, like entirely, because like
Yeah, but he's
people.
talking about he doesn't deal with the body work
Yeah,
or
yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
I
Or
get
what
it.
you buy, like at the dealer when they go, "Hey, you can buy this and this, and this is
Yeah.
covered." We're that.
Yeah. We know. Probably we're probably the most knowledgeable people about that. Probably. I don't know.
Extended warranty guys.
I get it.
Yeah, and that whole field has a lot of shice to it.
I mean,
Yeah, but he's not the auto dealer that's calling you and saying, "Hey, we've been trying to reach you. Your
Yeah,
car
no.
insurance warranty is about to expire."
yeah, he's the
Yeah.
real one. I still ignore, but he leaves a message. I got you.
No, no, it's if you don't buy it when you buy that car,
Yeah, it's at the
you
dealer.
can't
He
get
doesn't
our
get on
stuff.
the phone.
Yeah.
Mm. So he's
Yeah.
like my Audi dealer.
Yes,
I got you.
he's like the CarMax guy.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
Maybe I'm just being
So,
dumb.
and like I said, like I came from vehicle service. Like I had a shop and I had called a few of those companies and they all seem real scammy. The one I'm
Yeah, they
at,
all do.
the one I'm at, um, the best I could say to anyone who ever buys one is just read what it actually covers and understand
Yeah.
it.
100%. So
Yep.
my wife and I bought our car through CarMax, but I wanted her to ask questions. She didn't know the questions to ask. I knew the questions to ask. Neither here nor there. I know what you're saying. Moral of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, the best advice I could give to it is now something like CarMax, probably a little less, or any of these online ones. But if you're at an actual dealer and you're thinking of buying it, have them roll that thing out and go over it line by line.
Oh
The
yeah, we
amount of
did. It was
people,
like fucking 20 pages long. So yeah, we went through
yeah,
line by line because I don't want to get fucked. That's
yeah,
mostly, yeah.
most of the anger I see from people is it's just stuff, and
Ignorant.
it's not. I wouldn't say it's ignorant. Um, some things make sense. Like, yeah, you would think so, but like simple little things like, okay, we won't. These are for if something breaks down. It's not going to cover your maintenance type deals. It's like no one understand that because there are things out there that do cover maintenance items. You
Mhm.
Yep.
know,
But
it's
it's not going to cover when your tie rods go bad or your bearings go out or your.
Or brakes are fucked
Yeah.
up, or
um. Well, there's different ones. We have
there's
plenty.
different ones for sure.
Yeah, we even there's plenty. I do plenty of tie rods all the time, and bearings. A lot of our stuff covers that, and that's the most
Really?
hilarious thing because I might
That's
call
crazy because those are both wear and tear items.
They are wear
yeah,
and tear.
and I might call a shop and go, I don't do it, but I've seen like other people like I'll pick something up, and I'll be like, why did they ask them for a picture of a bearing that failed? Like it's making noise. What do you think's gonna? What are you gonna show me in a picture? Or
Yeah,
some
you're not
shop will
going to even
say,
see it.
yeah, or some shop will send me a photo of like a tie rod and go, this tie rod has play. I go, oh, like I just want to look at him and go, oh no, it has extra movement. If only there was something, maybe even the device you use, if only the device you use to take the photo could also record a video of it moving. Oh, I wish we lived in a future where the same device that takes a photo and sends it
That
via
would be so
email to
amazing
me.
if
Yeah,
you could see movement.
yeah,
So
it's
amazing when send
always
you a picture, right?
it's always shocking. It's always shocking when someone goes, "Here's a picture of the bearing. It's making noise," and I just look at it for like a good minute, and I go, "How have we gotten to this? How
Yeah.
how is a species? Are we still here on this
Yep.
planet? How is it
Yeah.
possible?"
Yeah. But you got to remember, like people are only going to do the work they're paid for, right? And most people see that, so they're getting paid like X amount.
I got to fix my membership. I got
Yeah,
the
I
credit
mean,
card set up. It's Joey's.
Yeah, you
So
got
I
to
got to
fix it to
switch it
you.
over. Yeah. I only got, what, like 10 more days or something.
Mm.
and that's very true. Like, definitely people are going to do the work that they're paid to do, but let's take that and extrapolate it a little further out. You're already standing there. You're taking a photo. You're taking a photo of something you say is making noise. I understand you're only being paid to do the work you're being paid to do. But are you also not being paid to think it all for yourself?
No.
No,
Oh,
not
All
really.
mindless
You're
fucking
just
morons.
you're a small gear in a big gear
Holy fuck.
box, right? So I mean, like as shitty as it sounds, like
I'm
people are
75 a 10.
dumb as fuck.
are you saying that being an NPC is a valuable excuse to life?
Yes.
Sorry, I rear-ended you. I was going forward, and as an NPC, I'm only programmed to drive forward. I had no idea you would stop, nor did I pay attention to you stopping because I was following the predestinated script in my mind.
So I'm not saying that my car was totaled the same way, but yes.
Oh my. Would you
Like literally
consider...
when I got out of my car and the dude fucking totaled my car, he was just like, I'm sorry, I was paying attention to the other lanes and I wanted to go forward and all of the lanes were full and I hit your car.
Oh my god. See, dude, I hate when I encounter these NPC experiences with people. Like, I was at a gas station once, and this lady, she says to me, she says, "Have a good day, I love you." And I looked at her, and it, like, threw me off for a second. I looked at her for, like, a good second, like, what? And the look on her face was like, oh, shit. What did I
Yep.
just say?
Well, she probably thought you were like her son or something, but yeah, I get it. Because you're just like on
It's a
autopilot
habit.
almost all the way through your whole life, right? Everything you do, all
It's
the
bad.
experiences you have is just like, okay, yep, this is this, boom, this is the experience, this is the response. You know, like it's like when someone walks past you and you're like, hey, how's it going? And they say, good. And then you say, cool. And they're like, how's your day going? And you say, good, right? The responses that are different are the ones that throw you off, right? So they're like, my day is excellent. How's your day? And you're just like, how do I respond? You know what I'm saying? Because you're used to the cues with the answers to the cues.
Yeah, I think part of the human experience should be to not get into this structured rut, though. Do you do
Yeah,
anything, especially?
I mean, I would
Espe-
agree with you, but it is like a
well,
norm.
well, that's fine. And since you agree with me, here's a question: being an army grunt boy and someone who wants to spend their career in the army, what do you do yourself to avoid from becoming that automaton number? You know.
Give me a better question, I guess.
So, what
Like
do
a
you,
more specific.
as someone who is in a very structured career field, what are you doing to not become an NPC?
I care. So I
Wow,
know that
an
seems like
NPC
generic.
would say that too. I think that's at least three company mottos.
Well, I would precursor
Ah!
that to that, like I care, but like not just care. Like difference is that like when people
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
not necessarily give me a response, but like there's a difference between like hearing cues and then understanding cues, right? So like if someone says they're excellent all the time, then all of a sudden they say they're good, that's different, right? So I'm gonna ask them, hey, you know what's going on? And they're gonna be like, you
So,
know, everything's good, but it's not good. And then you just keep kind of like queuing in on that, right? So it's the same, right? So like
is
if
it the
someone says
same
they're
though?
good,
Because it sounds like you're still just analyzing and following trend data. You're still an NPC. You're a well written AI. What's to say
well, I
you're
mean,
not a well written AI? Tell me something that proves that you are not an artificial intelligence in a simulation that me or someone listening right now is not suffering through.
so I had a dude show up with two left boots one day, right? And I was
That
like,
throws a
bro,
glitch
what?
in the matrix.
Yeah, it's a little bit, right? Kind of weird. So I was like, hey, man, what's going on? He's like, hey, you know, I'm having troubles at home. You know, like these are the things I grabbed, whatever, no big deal. And I'm like, look, dude, you know, like it's not just weird that you put on two left boots because that's just got to be uncomfortable as fuck. But it's weird that you would do it and then show up, right? And to go off of that, the next day the motherfucker showed up with a summer boot left, winter boot right. Okay, so like at least he got left foot, right foot correct, but it's different, right? And I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on, right? And he was like, you know, a whole bunch of shit going on, blah blah blah. Helped him through some stuff. But like that's like my special soldier, if you will, right? So like the dude that's kind of like in the air, smart as fuck, dumb as fuck. Hold on, give me a sec. Hey dad, you died? You most definitely just did. Yes. Sorry, he just died to like fucking fire giants or some shit with the Lumbridge. But yeah, so like on the real, right? So like let me give a better example, right? So there was this girl I work with now. We're friends. One day she came to work in the army and was like, kind of just off. That's kind of the things you notice is like people are just off from their game, right? And so I was like, hey, what's going on? She's like, my ex-husband's trying to like do some shit with my kid. And I'm like, like explain it to me. She's like, like he came to my house yesterday with a gun, like threatening, trying to take the kid away from me. Like, he's living with a girl from Iraq, like, custody's kind of a big deal over there, right? So I was like, look, you can reach out to me. You can have people that are going to be there, like supportive, and doesn't mean I'm going to be aggressive, but like, just another dude looking out for you, right? She's like, I didn't think about it that way. And I was like, look, if you run into these issues again, just talk to us. Cause like at that time, there was a whole bunch of us that was like on the same page, right? We could all show up there, fucking bullshit outside our house, inside our house, doesn't matter as long as like everything's cool. But that's kind of shit that you realize like with your people in general. Like any kind of work sense, you're gonna notice when people are off from what they're normally like.
But you're still just following trend lines. I want you to define to me that you're not some artificial intelligence.
I mean, we're all artificial intelligence. Like you're talking to a dude that's in IT that wants people to be more integrated in the sense of like a knowledge base. So I don't know what you want from me because it's probably not going to happen.
Ah. So you're unable to define humanity on any terms, huh?
I can't define humanity because I'm a human, just like you're a human, right? Our definitions are very different regardless of how we feel. But probably a difference for most people, even though they say they want to be different, they don't want to be different. And I know that they don't want to be different, and so I don't even try to lie to myself about that because there are some things I know I'm better at, but it's not me trying to be different. It's just me being a person.
And I'm asking you to define yourself as a personhood.
I could not define myself as a person even if I had like 1,000 fucking years to explain it to you.
I think it would take 1,000 fucking years for anyone to really come to a defining moment either way.
See, and that's what I'm saying. So it's a hard question to answer.
That was the point.
Hmm. So we're on the same page. That's what you wanted.
I don't think anyone could ever really be on the same page without being an exact replica, right?
Exactly. I mean, like we could agree on a whole bunch of shit, but ultimately would not be the same. You are correct.
I bet if we took your brain and chopped it into little segments and copied that exactly, right? Through some digital technology, even that copy would slightly differ.
Well, it's because the experiences would be different, and that's more wisdom rather than knowledge. That's what I would say.
No, I'm saying we take you right now and we
Uh-huh.
copy you section by section in your brain, right? Like you're
Yep.
asleep, so light amount of firing going on. That new copy is gonna have a whole different set of firing going on, even though it's on the same circuits. So even though it's an exact replica of you, it'll still differ.
Of course, because the experiences are different. That's what I'm saying. So, like,
Well, the
regardless,
experiences would copy in this situation. I'm saying we're cloning you and we're copying your brain square by square, bro.
hold on. Give me like 2.5 seconds. I'm gonna put myself on mute because I gotta explain this shit. Give me a longer time frame. Let me help my dad out a sec.
No problem, man. You were mentioning like learning from parents' mistakes there.
Yeah, so like honestly, it's just like anyone's mistakes, not just my parents, but that's kind of like who is close to, right? So like before I finished high school, I moved 20 times, give or take. Some moved a lot, moral of the story. So I was close with my family in general, right? But it's not just learning from your parents or people around you. It's learning from them and then knowing the difference between what works and what doesn't work and why it doesn't work or why it does work. And then the same thing with the people around you. And that's just in life in general, right? So, like, you might not have the answers. And sometimes you got to try shit on your own, regardless if it's right or wrong. Just kind of learning to see what works. It doesn't work. And it changes from person to person. So there's kind of the difference if you broke down each person, regardless of me is your question, but like each person, I could have made a choice that would make me different from like parts of me, just like you make it different from parts of you.
So what are you saying? You believe that every choice you make just branches off into a different universe?
Not necessarily that, but that every choice you make actually makes a difference, regardless if it's big or small. A difference. Okay, so I know
I
this is dumb, but it's a drop in the middle of the ocean, right? So like a drop does not make a wave, right? But multiple drops do make a wave, and the temperature of those drops also add into that equation. So yes and no, I guess is the answer to what you asked with your question.
uh, so, hmm. So, anyways,
Hold
tell
on, let
me.
me let's just do this. My dad keeps adding in shit. I'll change to open mic again.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, man. It's all
All right, here
cool.
we go.
It
So
adds
he said,
depth. It adds depth to the trash that I spew onto the internet.
I got you. So say what you said again.
oh,
Oh,
I believe that every decision you make leads you down a different path, is depending on which decision you go with.
right. And then
Hey, Nev, did you ever read those books where you get to a page and it says, okay, if you want to go this way, go turn to page 387 and continue reading. If you want to go this way, turn to page 229 and continue reading.
But
You ever seen
see,
those books?
yeah, but
read a lot.
when you take like an adventure book like that and compare it to decisions, I don't think comparatively whether you decide to use one square or two squares in the morning to wipe your ass is as comparative to going left or right in a maze.
I understand. But I'm saying not every decision is going to make a difference in how your life turns out. But
So if I switch in the left lane as opposed to the right lane, it's the same thing, right? Like it's the same, just different, right? Your
yeah, but if you
decisions.
switch to the left lane, you could get into a car accident. If you stayed in the right lane, you may not have.
Well, what I'm saying is that, like you wipe with two squares as opposed to one, you're gonna have rod ass on one and on the other, maybe, right? So like the differences are minuscule until they are a bigger issue. And that's kind of like what we're talking about, right? So, like, if the choices are similar enough where there is no change, it doesn't matter. Um, but if the changes are small enough to matter, then I guess they actually matter. So it's like the drops, if you will, right? So one drop means nothing. But if it's one drop that leads into 10, that's different than one drop that leads into one.
That's true in a sense, but at some point, a decision has to have a null effect. You know, whether I decide to,
Sometimes, like,
whether,
okay, every decision has an impact, regardless if you see it as a big impact or small impact. They're all impacts. Um, so I guess your question, the way you're phrasing it, is meaning that like any decision I made in my whole life might have changed me for worse or better or greater or worse. but like I won't know that unless I make that decision, and that never happened. You know what I'm saying? Like I live my life linear. So if you're asking me questions that are unlinear, then that's a different kind of thought process because I didn't live it and I don't know.
That's true. That's very true. How do you know it's lived linear if you can only
Be-
experience the time that is occurring right now?
That's what I'm saying. So it's only linear because it's the way I've lived life, the same way you live life, right? We don't know the decisions we made and the impact that we made until it's already happened. And
Hmm.
that's the present. Okay, so like everyone, you either have two choices, right? You live in the past or you live in the present. People that think about the future, it's just thinking about the future. We can't impact the future, but we can help lead our lives into that path, right? But we won't know until we get there. So you're always living in the present. And the difference is if you live in the present or if you live in the past. And that's how I view life. I can't change the things I've already done, but I can help make the future better by how I live in the present.
And what things would you change in the past? How do you think it would affect right now?
I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't be the person I am.
So there's nothing, if you could go back and butterfly effect it, you wouldn't do.
No, because I would be an entirely different person. Like
So,
that's what I'm
that
saying. So
being
like
said, so every decision that you make has some kind of ramification on who you are in your life.
and I'll be back. I'm gonna make a drink if you want to ask him more questions. We're kind of the same person, just different.
You know, he says that a lot. He says that about a lot of people. We're kind of the same person, but different.
Yeah, well, he wants to be like his dad. I'm a pretty amazing fucking guy, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you guys do sound the same.
The
Yeah.
moral of the story is this, right? So for me and my
You're,
dad, we get along because like
I think the
we
moral of the story is you fell out of your dad's left note as a clone.
I fell out of his
You
left
might
nose
have.
as a clone, except better. Okay, because as a second generation to him, I should be better.
That's
Version
true.
2.0, right?
And he should work hard to make you better.
Exactly.
Well, that's my job.
That's his job as a parent. Like most people don't view it that way, right? So like your parents are supposed to make you better people, right? Whether or not that happens is a different story. And then, whether or not the actual kid turns out to be better is a different story. It's more or less like a handoff, if you will, right? So if the handoff is good, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good, right? Like it's two parties working together for the same goal. They have to both agree and they have to both try their piece, if you will.
True. True. So, now that we got that out of the way, what made you where you are now?
Um,
The last
again,
time the last time we talked, you discussed where you're at now, but you had
mhm.
remessed that you did not actually build anything to that point.
So honestly, so like I'll say it again. I know it seems kind of dumb, but like my choices have only been made from poor choices before to lead me to the position I am, right? So like as dumb as this sounds, like, and I mean this in the sense that I'm not um arrogant. I am arrogant, but not in this sense, right? So I'm smart enough compared to most people to realize mistakes. And I'm wise enough to realize that like this shit will work or won't work. And the moral of the story is that like I've made the best choices I could have in my life or not, and I've ended up where I am. And I know that seems really fucking generic, but like making shit decisions from shit decisions or knowledge makes you a shitty person. And that's how I feel, right? But making shitty decisions from good knowledge makes you a shitty person. And then making semi good decisions from shitty positions makes it a good position. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just correlates. Like, you ever play Dungeons and Dragons?
No.
Okay, so there's alignments. Alignments would mean that you're lawful, unlawful, neutral, and then also good, neutral, or evil, right? So like there are those decisions in anyone's lives. And that's kind of how I feel is that like you either make the good of the good, or you make the shitty of the good, or you make the best of the bad, or like any of those decisions. So like I'm not saying that my life was predetermined by any means, but like I made the best decisions that I had available to me or didn't, depending on the situation.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Um, Now, what I will say here is I asked how you got there, and you gave a great explanation of the formula, but no actual, like, events.
So specifically, you want to know how I became the person I am.
Well, yeah, that's what you wanted to discuss. You noticed that when we talked last, everything and what will be appended to the end of this, it's all what's happening in like the last 2 years. And you said, wait a
Probably
second.
more than that, but that's okay. So essentially, I'm the eldest, which means different depending if you're a psych major or not. And I'm not a psych major, but I took a lot of psych, right? So, like, if I was gonna get my degree, it would be in psych. The eldest is the leader. It's not necessarily good or bad, but they're also the enforcer, depending if they're male or female, and I am male, right? So I am the enforcer and not the nurturer. Um, I became the way I am because like of the movement. So not if. I did move 20 times, which means that I was really close with my family, right? So like as the eldest, my parents being young, I was a middle ground between my siblings and my parents. And we got a common ground through me, I guess. That would be the best way to describe like my life, if you will. So, like, regardless of my decisions being good or bad, or the experiences I had, um, actually, so here I'll prerequisite that with another thing. My life was not hard in the sense that like I never wanted for anything, and that's not to say that like my parents are rich. What I'm saying is that like I never wanted for anything because I had a good relationship with my parents and my siblings, and family is important to me for the same reason. Family is what drives me and makes me strong. When I ever feel weak or unsure of what I'm doing, I think about what they would want me to do. And that's kind of like, so I don't know if I explained the army, but I'll go into it a little bit, right? Um, the enlisted side is the same. They want to help each other. There's a huge uplifting, mentoring, shaping, training, all that shit. I'm training people underneath me to take over my job one day, right? And I'm looking out for them. I'm their shield. Just like officers, the people you salute, are supposed to shield me the same way. So it's kind of like the same as like a family, right? You're looking out for each other. And so like when I joined the army, it wasn't for money or because I didn't have a direction or anything like that. I just wanted to help people. And so now I'm an instructor. I really enjoy where I'm at, kind of, right? So I love teaching people and training them to be better, like better people, better leaders, better like knowledge base, anything, right? Like being better in general. And I'm not an officer, even though I could be because you need a degree to do it. But it's a different mentality. You step on each other's necks to move promotions. You make yourself just seem better regardless if you are or not. Like that's not me, right? I joined the army to help. And the officer side is not that. Like it's progression by all means, regardless of what you have to do. So does it kind of help what your question was? I suppose. I don't know.
So you're still just describing the methodology. You're not actually giving any sort of events.
Events that would make me me, besides
Yeah.
moving 20 times and guiding my family through. Oh, so you want to know the hardships, I suppose.
The hardships, the good moments, the bad moments. We have a
So,
lot of methodology here. We have the math to build it, but we don't
so,
have any of the factors.
so probably the hardship that I would realize becoming a child to an adult was so there's a whole bunch of shit. And if you want to go into it with my dad later on with his interview, but
I would.
essentially the way I see it is that like my parents got divorced after my sister turned 18 because they wanted to be together for the kids, right? So regardless of what happened, because I don't actually give a shit about what happened, right, between them, like my mom and dad, was that like, you know, they wanted us to grow up together as a family, and we did.
And
And
that's
then when they got,
admirable.
it is admirable, and you'll hear a different story through him. I'm sure, not like in the bad sense, but the real sense, right?
Well,
Um,
yeah, his take on it, man, you know.
exactly. And so like mine is not to judge. That's how my whole life has been, right? Like everyone's their own person, they do things for themselves. Regardless if it's good or bad, it doesn't matter, right? So I picked up the slack. That's essentially what I'm getting at. Is that like when they got divorced, I came back from basic training and my training in the army in general, so AIT, which is my job training. And I came back. I worked 90 hours a week to support my siblings because they wanted to move in with me instead of my parents. And it was more stable than my parents, right? Because they were kind of going through a chaotic part of their lives. And yeah, like my sister's going to school full time. We lived in a shitty ass fucking apartment. Um, I was going through. So I had this girl that I was engaged to that didn't work out. So I became kind of more dependent on alcohol, you know. There's a whole bunch of shit that kind of like broke down, if you will, right? But not like bent me, but didn't break me, I guess. So, working 90 hours a week is hard for anyone. Plus, drinking makes it kind of complicated. And that's not even involving like going anywhere for your job sites. Because I work security with Union Pacific first, and then through Sandwich Hospital, which, would be with medical. So a little bit kind of wonky. But, I calmed down after that. I still worked, let's say 80 hours a week, didn't drink for a while unless I was with my sister's boyfriend at the time, which is now her husband. Um, yeah, I kind of don't know where to go with that after that, I guess.
Shit.
So,
Yeah,
like,
I
essentially, that would be me going from childhood to adulthood. That's kind of like I think the turning point was like when my parents got divorced and I became like the parents or the parent for my siblings.
and you sort of took on that role a little later in life. A lot of people have to do that in their teens.
So that would be so yes. Normally that's what it would be, except I joined the army late. So I guess, like if I would have joined the army early, which was my original plan. So I guess maybe I should start with that. So like I did try to join the army when I was 18. My parents told me not to because I'm too smart. Like I literally like maxed out their tests, which is whatever. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. It just is what it is, right? And they told me to go to college because beneficial. Both my parents never graduated college. They're both like my mom is GED. My dad graduated high school, started some college, never completed. And then I went to college, hated it because it was kind of like high school to me. I was working full time at the time, so like 50 hours at college, 40 hours at work, paid my way through, hated it, joined the army, and then, into what we were already discussing.
Hmm. I think that would hit the backstory you wanted.
Like I said, this is for you. I don't mind so much speaking about my life. It doesn't bother me because I am who I am. That's kind of what I was trying to get at is that like if I can say one thing in this interview, and if it reaches the end, it'd be cool, is that like it doesn't matter who you are, right? Like who you are now is entirely different than who you are 30 years from now, right? And the moral of the story is that like we as people need to improve on the things that we are. So regardless of where you think you are, if you're stable, if you're good, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like everyone should continuously try to make themselves better.
And what do you do to continuously make yourself better?
I'm continuously learning, especially through the army, because I work the army both sides, right? So I'm a civilian through the army, and I'm also in the army, and I work two different angles, if you will, right? But the moral of the story is, to me, is like not monetary gain, like at all. I don't care about the money. I care that I can survive and live, of course, just like anybody else, right? But I actually am trying to help people. So like not to get too much into it, but like I work with a female, she's been raped, like she's going through struggles with her family, she has kids, she has custody issues, she's being bullied, that kind of stuff, right? Like I want to be there for those people because I might not have all the answers, but I want to be there for them in case they don't have anyone else to talk to. And there's a lot of people in the world that feel like they don't have anyone to talk to. That's kind of like why I wanted the help channel that I have that nobody uses is that like, like there's nothing I haven't heard that would like blow my mind. You know what I'm saying? So like the moral of the story, I guess, is that like people think they're alone and they're not. They're really not alone. And like they should never feel alone regardless of the situation they're in or like any of the bad choices they've made that they perceive or like anything like that. There's always someone that's willing to like talk them through what's going on and try to help them, like like try, right? Because there's nothing that's foolproof. And that's kind of feel is that like as a culture I feel like that shit's gone away and I don't want it to go away. Helping people makes me feel good about myself, and the monetary value to that will increase. And that's not an advantage to me. What it is I like being good at what I do because it helps. That's all.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that the whole point of society? Is people getting together and helping each other? And we've definitely gotten away from that.
And I would agree, and I'm not like I said, I'm not trying to get like some kind of power trip from it. It's just okay, so like some people have different things, right? They want to look good to make themselves feel better. They want to make more money because it makes them feel better. I want to help people, and it makes me feel better, but it also and like it, like it's like a homeless person. So like that's kind of the shit that like fucking blew my mind with Joey is that like I help people because I don't know where they're coming from, and I'm not gonna sit there and spend 30 hours trying to understand where they come from, right? Like I'm just gonna try to help them. That's it. You know, regardless if I give them food or money or whatever the fuck. I'm literally trying to help people from where they are to where they want to be. That makes me feel good. And you know, that's what I'm trying to get. Like everyone's selfish to some degree because, you know, to be real, helping someone makes me feel good, right? So like I am helping them, but it makes me feel good. And that's selfish, right? Like if I was selfless, I would just want to help them because it makes them feel better. But it makes me feel good and that's why I do it. And see, that's where I think the rub is with most people is that like they don't see that as a non-selfless action, right? Because they're getting something from it.
So, but can any action really be defined as selfless?
No, not unless you're physically hurting yourself, and that would be
Well,
selfless.
well, that could be questionable too. I mean,
Well,
what if
not
you enjoy the pain that you're inflicting on yourself? Then it's still not selfless.
it is
I
still
mean,
selfless, I guess, but you're still gaining something from it. So, like, how about this? Selfless would be gaining nothing from it at the best.
I don't. What I'm saying is, uh, I don't think you can ever really define any altruism as true altruism.
So not in the real sense of present, right? So like in the present of past, right? So like let's say I defended someone and died. I would not know any different. What it is like no advantage to me, except that I saved that person, right? So like if I took a bullet to the head for someone, right, I would know nothing different besides that I'm helping that person. Unless, you know, you believe in afterlife, that's a whole different conversation, right? The idea is that like you're literally sacrificing yourself with no advantage. That would be true selflessness in my mind.
Ugh. So, I think you've ran me through about what I can do. So now my question is, since in the order that we agreed upon, from here we'll cut to uh, a cleaned up version of that one where Jerby interrupted. How would you want to preface that for people?
So you want me to do like an interlude between the two?
Yeah, yeah. How would you interlude it, I guess?
So how about this? Let me give you a question then. So where does it start?
So
At the
that
middle?
starts well, I haven't even looked at it for editing. I was planning on doing it tomorrow. It's definitely gonna be. I think he's a little aggressive in the beginning, and then he quiets down, and then you're telling us about the whole ceremony and stuff. So I think I'm gonna try to make it as clean as a transfer as possible, since it mostly has to be cut at the end.
Okay, so let me go with this, right? So like my life is the way it is from what I've said before. So like I am the person I am because of the choices or not choices I made, right? I don't regret anything. And you know, that's kind of like I can say that with clear conscience is that like, you know, the choices I made me who I am and I'm happy to be who I am. And to tie it all together with my wife, it's kind of nice is that like, you know, like we come from different backgrounds. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. So I stopped dating white girls and I met her and I became married. So that must be a good choice, right? Um, what I can say is that, like, with her choices, not necessarily been a bad thing. It's been like a work in progress, and that's kind of what I want people to view relationships in general. Is that like they're always a work in progress. Nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing in life is going to be perfect, and I want people to see, like, especially with my wife and I. Like, I don't know if I got into it in the other one, but like,
That's basically all we discussed was mostly, the ceremonies and what goes beyond that and how do you feel about this and that related to that and the culture clash. So it's all that's basically what all the second half's gonna be.
okay, then sure. This I will lead into it. My wife's mom, because her dad's out of the picture, let's say, and I can get into it if you want. Do you want me
I
to or no?
No, I think what you're about to say is technically a spoiler.
Okay, well then,
Because you don't
spoiler alert. I'll
yeah,
do
you
the
don't
abridged version.
yeah, you don't really talk about like that deep into our family until we're like past talking about ceremonies.
Sure. So I'll get into that now, and that can maybe tie into this. But her dad had a stroke. Um, what is this year? 2022. So he had a stroke in 2015, I think. So he's inept, if you will, and her mom took over from that point. Her parents are also a part of an arranged marriage. Her dad is like 65. Her mom is turning 50 this year or 49. So there's quite a differential in gap, right? My first experience with her parents or her mom was that like I made not enough money working two jobs doing the things that like doesn't matter, right? So that's kind of the shit. Like I don't want to like talk poorly, but yes, so that, right? And then my wife herself came from a mentally abusive, emotionally abusive background, so I had to teach her because Asian cultures are different, right? So females have no rights. um they're subservient to the male counterpart. Like that's the kind of shit I had to work through with my wife. So I built
Yeah,
her up,
you
gave
you
her a
get one
background.
into detail on that. Yeah, how you didn't want to continue perpetuating that.
Exactly. So like my wife and I are equals. I feel like we're equals as close as we can get. And I take pride in that. The first background to her building a backbone was fighting me, which is kind of funny. I was frustrated at first, but then I saw like why, right? So that was kind of that.
You should probably
I'd yell at her.
preface that with like not a physical fight, maybe just disagreeing, or was it a physical fight?
No, it wasn't. Like I've never fought with my wife. I don't want to fight. Like how about this? Let me precursor. I won't fight any female, regardless. Besides, if they use their fucking teeth and claws at me, right?
Yeah.
So no, she's a good cookie. Yeah, I don't know where to go with this.
Well, when you
Fuck.
say she was fighting you, it definitely does sound
No.
like
So how about this?
just a little
Not
suspicious.
physically, not emotionally, but like verbally fighting me on things that like, if I say it's like this, she's like, nah, and I'm like, okay, well.
Sort of like if you say, I want the trash can by the door, and she goes, no, I want it by this wall.
So it's
Those
not even
sort
like
of
that.
disagreements, right? Like something super soft core.
Not even like that. So like white people knowledge, right? So like wife is always right. If wife is happy, I'm happy, right? Like it's general marriage shit, right? The issues we have is more or less like coming from traditional versus non-traditional. So my parents are traditional. Like, okay, both my parents are Catholic, or they were before their parents got divorced. So they go from traditional to not traditional. And she's first generation traditional. So she would be like the same as my parents. And that's kind of like where the rub is, if you will, is that like you come from like strong religious backgrounds, but like without the second generational gap like her and I guess, if that makes sense. And I will be right back because I got a fucking piss. All right, now you go.
Go what?
I don't know. What do you want me to go from there?
No, yeah, I like I said, I was just saying do an interlude, but I think you got the interlude down. I was just
Is it
thinking to
good enough, or
myself,
like, do you want me to
bro,
like say
everything's
something over again so it's like
no,
actual better cut, or
no. I would say everything. Everything's relative, man. I don't even have like an audience for this stuff. I just keep doing it.
see? That's why I feel like it's better when it's like more than one person. No offense to you, it's just that like it's hard for me to describe like what you're asking sometimes because of the question sense. And I know that seems kind of petty. It's just like, like if you ask me one thing as opposed to like rephrasing it a little bit, and then you're gonna get a different response.
But yeah, no, I think we'll run with this. Before you try to break some record on my list here of who did the longest thing.
I know. I told you that from the start, though. If you remember, if the first interview, I was like, "You're gonna need like 3." I think that's what I said in the beginning.
So, but I'll cut it here. I'll probably cut it right at about that. I'm going for a piss. Do my little like, and this is the second half.
All right,
Go
can I
from
do
there.
the end step then?
The end step. One
Yes.
second. This next part was recorded earlier with some interruption and some problem. You will notice a difference.
Brazil is Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
That's
Nice try.
That's
It's
Argentina, isn't it?
Argentina's a country.
No, Argentina's capital is Buenos Aires.
Is it?
I think so.
I thought it was Buenos Aires.
That's what I just. I'm pretty sure
Did-
Rio is Brazil's, but don't quote me. That might just be ignorant. But I'm pretty sure Buenos Aires is Argentina's capital.
Oh, fuck me then.
But what's the capital of Brazil?
I just said Rio, but
Brasilia.
Brasilia?
no fuck it.
Brazil, Brasilia.
So Argentina's capital is Buenos Aires.
I thought so.
Yeah,
know.
but it's not the capital of Brazil.
No, and Brazil's
Another capital?
is,
What the fuck?
is Brazil. They're two countries. Brazil's capital is Brasilia. He's right.
Okay, Jerby, what's the capital of Illinois?
That's not a country.
It's as big
Oh,
as
it's
one.
not a country. If you're gonna ask me a fucking crazy question where I can't answer, then I want you to answer mine. What's the capital of Illinois? Oh, here, let me Google real quick, right?
Yeah, exactly. Springfield.
Springfield, right? But what will most people say?
Probably
Most people would
Chicago.
say like Illinois City.
No, they would say Chicago, right?
Oh,
Because
those
Chicago's
people
so
would be
big.
dumb.
Wasn't Chicago the original capital, and then
No, it was
Lincoln?
never the original capital. It's just like the biggest capulus.
Yeah, I forget what the original one is, and then they were like, we want it to be in Springfield. How do we do that? Oh yeah, we'll charge a 50K fee to whoever hosts the capital.
Yup.
So, what's the capital of Colorado?
Denver.
Denver, yeah.
Oh my god, you guys so smart. I'm so proud of you guys.
That airport is fucking wild. 100% wild. Takes you 30 minutes to walk from one side to the other.
Isn't like the Shanghai one just as wild too?
Never been there, so I don't know.
Well, because I think like Shanghai has like so with the Denver airport, it's got like the crazy takeoffs and stuff, and coming into it isn't the easiest for because where it's at and blah blah blah. And I think
I think it's
Shanghai
something to do
shares
with like, I think Denver is weird because there's underground bunkers. It's one of the conspiracy theories. I don't know, but I feel like it's an actual
Oh,
thing.
don't you start about conspiracy theories?
I mean, I'm just saying Denver is big as fuck for no reason. Like that state plus capital is not big.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense. But I think it's a lot. It's just maybe the ease of access for planes. Who knows? It doesn't matter. It is
I
sort
don't
of
know.
central to the country in a way. It's pretty central.
It's not really, if you think O'Hare is like the biggest international airport in like literally in like the Midwest. How about that?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's large, it could have a lot of hubs to it, and it's sort of central to the country. I mean,
Not really.
Chicago
look at
is
the look,
central for rail, but
it's essential for everything. What I'm saying is like if you're looking at middle, right? Middle, Colorado is really west.
I should probably pull up a map while we're talking.
Yeah, you should.
Pull out the maps, bro.
So, anyways, on today's, we talked to a guy who wants to talk about maps.
Oh no.
Here, let me if we're gonna start, I gotta piss real quick.
Oh,
let's
go for it.
let's
I
not
already
talk about
started
maps.
it. Okay, I would say though. I'll wait till he gets back. I have an argument. I mean, I don't know where Denver is on it, but maybe the top corner could be pretty central.
So,
But he's right.
what's the capital of Alabama?
I think that's Memphis, maybe.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Is Memphis even in Alabama?
Yeah, there's a Memphis, Alabama, and there's a Memphis, Tennessee.
It's Montgomery.
Ah, yeah, I always forget about that, eh?
Should have known that. What?
These things happen, man. Why? I can't remember all of it all the time. I know a lot of like world maps.
So you know, my
too.
wife said my dick's like 8 inches.
Okay.
Hope that was on the recording.
Yeah, that is. So, anyways, yeah, you said we gotta talk about you, so so we'll point
They
out.
didn't call me Big Dick Anderson for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
So when did these inadequacies about your penis begin?
I mean, I don't care how big or small my dick is. I'm already married, so it's okay.
Oh my gosh, you're married? Do you have any kids?
No kids yet, but I'm really, really looking forward to it. So I'm white and my wife's Indian, so I'm really looking forward to the mixed babies.
How would you call your kids? Johnny?
Chani, what does that mean?
I don't know. It's just a random name I just came
I
up
think
with.
he meant like Johnny. Would you call your kids Johnny?
Oh, Johnny. I thought he said Chani like CH.
No,
No.
oh no. No,
You
no,
know
no,
what?
no,
If
no.
you're gonna name him Johnny, you should just call him Johnny.
So like for sure, so like with my wife's culture, their middle name's gonna be either Singh or Kaur, which is like princess or prince.
Isn't Sing like Korean? Your wife is Korean?
No, she's Indian.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
And so, how did that occur?
So when I
He
came back
said
from
in the
my
most racist sounding way ever possible.
no, yeah, it's
Didn't
cool.
mean it like
It's
that.
cool. So like
I
when I
meant
came
Yo,
like
back
how'd
from
you
my
meet her?
first when I came
I
back
li-
from my first deployment, I was actually in charge of her as an E4, which is still a junior enlisted person. And then when I got promoted to an NCO, I moved to a different unit.
and you were like, "Hey, girl,
No,
you're
I mean,
from."
like, I was still like, hey, girl, but, like, so essentially she has some dude that was a fucking dirtbag, and I was like, nah, you shouldn't be like that, and then she was like, hey, I kind of like you, and then we got together, so it was kind of, like, normal, I guess.
She let it, didn't she? She was like, "Hey, I kind of like you," and you're like, "What?" She's like, "Let's go out tomorrow, 5
Kind of
o'clock.
like that.
Pick me up."
Let's go to Wendy's tomorrow. It
I mean,
will be a special date.
I've heard you talk about her, and it definitely does sound like she's got the pants.
I mean, 100% she's got the pants. Like, okay, so the way it is, like, because I'm not a dumbass, the way it is that, like, you will give the best guidance you can to your wife, but they don't have to listen to you. It's the same as the army. So, like, I'm a NCO, which is non-commissioned officer, and I can give guidance to my commissioned officers, but they don't have to listen to me.
So you've implemented that principle in your relationship. But I mean, any
Yes,
relationship's really like that. I mean, you can take what your partner says and not go by it. But I'll tell you what, by doing things like that, you're just building a relationship that's going to become, not like listening to your partner. And the same thing, if your partner's got no bend either, you're just building a relationship that's going to be miserable.
exactly. And so, the hardest thing for her and I was that, like, she comes from a really strict Asian culture, so, like, it was really male dominated. And so, like, for the first part of our relationship, it was hard for me to make her, like, think we were equals. Because, like, that's what I want. Like, I want her to have a view, I want me to have a view, and I want us to come to some sort of consensus.
So she's like driving your car.
No, I drive. I'm really good at driving, and also
Yo,
my. I was gonna
yo,
say, well, I'm 8 years my wife's senior, if you will, 7.5, but 8.
yeah, no, like the thing is normal.
um, though, I wouldn't say it's just an Asian culture thing. Like, I've run
No,
into that plenty.
it's Asian culture, yeah, yeah. I
Well,
mean, you see
that
it
has it
everywhere.
huge. Well, that has it hugely. I'm saying though, it can be any, because
It could be anything.
outside of the
True.
usual food arguments, I've run into that a lot myself. Where it's like, it's sort of like every woman I run into, it's like, maybe sometimes I don't want to make a decision, and it's almost as though it's the requirement. Oh, I gotta
Well,
decide.
let
And I'm not just saying like food arguments. Obviously the whole where do you want to eat, that whole meme.
let me start with the basis then, right? So the basis
Oh
is
my
I'm a
God, we're gonna
security
get a basic
manager.
course on Asian women. I mean, I'm
No, no,
listening.
no. Like, I'm gonna start with my basis as a person, right? So I'm a security manager. I'm an E6 in the Army, which means I'm a staff sergeant. I'm a physical security officer. I'm an anti-terrorism officer. I used to be a master driver. There's a whole
Plus
lot of
physical.
like, huh?
Sorry, man, those beers are catching up with you. Physical.
The
Phys-
degree, the
physical and
degree
security
person
officer.
is trolling you, bro. He's making fun of
Sorry.
you.
So here, even baser, I have a lot of roles where I'm actually proficient in. And besides that, so like I'm an E6, the army only goes up to E9, so I'm pretty decently ranked. And then with my wife, right? So she's 22. Um, I have quite a bit of experience over her, which is not a bad thing. I import a whole lot, or at least I think I do. And so even on that level, right? So we've been married for 3 years. We were engaged for like 1 year. Her family doesn't know.
Her
Um,
family doesn't know. Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh,
apparently in
no.
her culture, it's kind of frowned upon, right? But they're racist, so
Oh,
they
so
don't like that I'm a white
her
person.
family is her family in the U.S. or
Yeah, her
like
family's in the US, but her family is also from the old culture, so they were
yeah,
an arranged
but she's
marriage.
still near, right? She's your family of your girl is still near.
Correct.
Okay, I mean, I would say like ah, I moved from the Netherlands to Lithuania, and I had a girlfriend here, and it was also a very different culture. I think your difference between you and your fiance is
Wife.
even yeah, wife right now. It's even a bigger cultural difference,
Oh,
but
yeah, it's a huge one.
but yeah, but I think y- if you do it well, then I mean, me with my girlfriend, I built such a good relationship with my girlfriend's parents. Like when my girlfriend broke up with me, her parents were flaming her. They were like, "Yo, fuck you for breaking up with Jerby."
Derby.
I'm just saying Jerby, but yeah, I mean,
John.
yeah, keep that in mind. Like I know it's a difficult situation with different cultures,
No,
but
it's
hey,
it's not difficult. It's all right. So like my wife and I were married for a reason, right? She
yeah,
doesn't
yeah, it's
like
difficult. Like sometimes you just can't fix it, you know. But
check this out. So I'm not a fucking dirtbag, right? Like my wife's ring's a 4 carat ring. Like I'm not a fucking asshole, right? Like I actually mean what I say when I get married because like I've seen the good and bad in relationships. And at this point, I don't care because if I get divorced, then that's not something I want to deal with, right? So like I only aim towards the future.
I'm just saying, like, if you would like open up to her parents,
Derby,
I think I
Derby.
don't know.
Derby.
Yo,
Let me
sorry,
ask you
sorry.
one question. How much is a 4 carat ring?
How much is what?
A 4 carat ring. That's
For
just the
what?
centerpiece, if you will. 4 carat ring.
What does that mean?
4
Carat
carat
is the
is.
size of the diamond, if you will.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm not talking about getting married with someone. I'm just asking, like, I'm just saying about how would it be to get acceptance from parents to date with.
So yeah, no, that's a good question. So the
That's a
acceptance,
different story than actually marrying someone.
right? So here, let's start with my question first, and I'll answer your question second.
Yeah, so I have no idea. I mean, I'm not married,
It's
so
how
I
about
wouldn't
this?
know.
It's a lot. And then to answer your question, secondly, to be accepted, I'm supposed to talk with her family before I got engaged, which didn't happen. But like I'm supposed to talk to her parents, and her mom's the only one that's, if you will, cognizant
Wait,
because her dad had a
you're
stroke.
saying like you have to like show um your commitments by
No,
marrying
no. So
before
yes, but
you can
no.
show like the worthiness of dating the daughter.
So So to be fair, the way it works in Indian culture is that like if I'm not an Indian male, then I have to more or less explain myself better, right?
Yeah,
Um,
but that you don't have to like show the ring, right? You can
no.
explain yourself in a easier way. That-
Yes, I have to actually like make myself seem better than normal people, if you will. And in simpler terms, I'm not a doctor. I'm not.
But you try to skip that step?
I didn't try to. It's just the way it worked out.
Accidentally skipped that step. And then was probably taught about the step after.
I mean, I understand. I mean, I've also been with like a girl, and like I didn't want to meet her parents because her mother died and her father was like an alcoholic, and it was like a difficult situation because I knew like I'm not gonna be with her forever, you know? It was just like nice girlfriend, but not something like to have like a serious relationship. And I understood that, and she understood that. So you cannot have like a dinner with your girlfriend's family, which is only her father, and then you see like, yeah, it's complicated, and I understand that. So
So mine was further complicated, right? I have had
yours were
multiple.
more complicated than that even.
Yeah, so I've had multiple, if you will, dates with her family, with her, right? Her dad had a stroke when she was younger, so his brain's not fully there. Um, Besides that, right, if you will, when I would sit down with her mom, she essentially said I didn't make enough money, I wasn't good enough for her, like, like normal things what a family would say, except like less direct. So it didn't bother me because, like, to be honest, I can make more money, and I actually feel like I make a decent amount of money as a person I am now, right? Like, my wife lives with me, we're happy, but her family doesn't know. So that's two different senses, right? With her family knowing that we're married, she would be disowned by our family. That's how the Indian culture works, right? I haven't been accepted. They don't know that we're married. So it's more complicated.
You say she was Indian? Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah, she's Indian.
so are you still not accepted or?
Correct.
Oh.
You're still not accepted.
Correct. Her family doesn't know we're married, except for her mom and her brother.
Oh man, that's fucked up. Because I know some people, some friends of mine, they're like people that are like Korean, not Indian, but Korean, and there's like more easy, but still, um, before you're going to date someone, you have to meet the parents and say like, can I date your daughter,
And
etc.,
see,
etc.
yeah,
And
that's
then
normal in like almost any culture. Like, not to cut you off, it's normal, right?
yeah, but
But
dating
but the
someone
difference,
is completely different than marrying someone,
no,
or
the difference in what I'm trying to explain to you guys is that, like, her family knows her intermediate family, but her extended family, and that's where it becomes complicated. Okay, so like her extended family has to accept me as well, not just her immediate
yeah,
family.
exactly. I understand that completely.
Do
Yes.
you think they will?
Um, I've talked to some, and I think they would if I was given the chance, but I have not been given the chance, and that's where the rub is.
So my question is like, did you like think about their culture in the sense of what do they like? Maybe they like to, in their like historical culture, for you to bring something from your own culture and bring it to them as some kind of present, like some souvenir.
So,
Because I had the exchange, and this worked for me when I got a Lithuanian girlfriend a lot. I showed like, hey, I got this for you, I got that for you. I love your daughter, and blah blah blah, and like it really matched out, and the parents of my crush, they they liked like what I gave them and how I behaved so much that they were like, "Yeah, I really like you." And when my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, um, her parents were literally mad at her not at me, but at her. She, they were like, "Yo, you dare to like put Jerby out like that, you fucking bitch." So, for me, it was very welcoming environment with their parents. So I'm wondering, like, what happens with you, and how do you feel about that?
So the difference is this, right? So I've studied the culture. I know the culture. It's old, and I like old cultures, right? That's kind of my jam. The thing is this, right? So like her family might not accept me intermediate, but her extended might, right? Given a chance. Like I was saying before, is like not given a chance per se that like they don't know we're married, they don't know we're engaged, they don't know we're going out. Um, the thing with that is that like the ancient ceremony is kind of cool. I carry a scimitar when we're getting married together, which is really fucking dope. I'm also supposed to name a second if I was to die during the ceremony to be the person that marries her. With what I talk with my wife, it's kind of cool because I can carry two swords, right? Long sword, scimitar, as far as like my culture, her culture, which would be really fucking cool. I feel like this is
Yeah,
not like
that does
it's like
sound
in a
cool.
yeah, like it's not like a weak sense. It's like really cool old school shit.
What
And
I
so like that's the part that like I really like with her culture and my culture is that like we're combining two cultures.
what I like about it is like, so you know, in the Western sense, we have the best man. In a way, you gotta name a best man who has to step in if you die daring. Like, I can't even imagine where that
Yep.
came from. Like, where they were like,
So
we
the
need to
old school
have.
culture is that like what it is that like if someone dies because normally in the old school culture is that like it's two powerful families marrying together, right? So like
Yeah.
you would want one to die and have the lesser take the lead. And so that's kind of where it took from. So you're not allowed to carry firearms, but you can carry swords, right? So if I can defend myself, I live and I get married, right?
So,
Whereas the other way, like if I die, then it's my second, which would be it's more intermediate blood, so it would be my brother because he's unmarried.
wait,
But
is it
where
like,
did you get married? Sorry to
well,
interrupt you, but
wait, because I
where
want to
did you get
know.
married?
So we got married at court.
Like in the USA?
Yeah,
Yes.
so when you want to do a marriage about like a ceremony and you just want to get it over with, you go to the local courthouse, done and done. I think they have like quick through lines for it. Um, that aside, the ability to get married really quickly in this country is a whole dimension. So on the extra guy here, the fallback, the god husband, I guess you'd call it.
You would call it like your brother, if you will. So if your
Yeah.
brother's unmarried, that's what it would be.
Well, the way
And
you
that's
said
what it
it,
is for me.
like as you explained it, it made more sense. Like it's someone that would take over. You
It's
know, if
like
you died,
familial, if you
yeah,
will.
if you died like 5 years later, it just sounded like if you died during the ceremony, here's the guy that's got to
That's what
step
it's
up.
supposed to be. So like the ceremony, like they would take over, it is familial, right? Because it's family to family. That's the old culture.
But my thing is,
So
what could have led to needing that, to needing someone to take over mid ceremony? Like,
Well, it's
what was
because
going?
like if you think about it, right, like they're families that are powerful. So like my wife just said when she stepped in and I wasn't on push talk, is that like they're powerful, rich families marrying each other. And with her culture, right? So she's what you would call the warrior priest class, right? So it's pretty far up there. If you look at the chain of the triangle, that would be the 2/3 level.
Yeah,
And so, like, if I died, it would be my brother. So that's kind of why it's the way it is.
yeah. But okay, maybe I just need clarification here. Is this someone that would take over even 5 years from now, or is it
No,
just during the ceremony?
just during the ceremony.
So what I wonder here is like, how crazy were the ceremonies that you needed someone who could step in, or just were people just dying? Like you're just standing there, they're talking, and dude just dies. Like that's what I'm
Well,
not.
if you think about it like European culture, right? So European culture, if you have royalty marrying each other and they died, then you'd have to have someone take over, right? But it just never happened that much in European culture, but in Asian culture, it was very prevalent.
Yeah, but
So I guess that answers your question, but yeah, that's exactly what happened.
yeah, it would make sense if it was he takes over even like 5 years later. I just don't understand why it's just during the ceremony.
So during the ceremony is when you're the most vulnerable. You're there
Okay.
with no one with weapons except for the people that are getting married.
Ah, so like someone could have just in olden times, not likely
Yes,
today, someone could have just popped out and been like, "Bye, bitch."
exactly. And you would fight, and if I lost, then I guess I would be dead. You know what I'm saying?
Holy shit. That's some hardcore ceremonial shit there.
It's really cool. Like the traditional
It's
sense of it
nothing
makes
new.
like really cool sense, and then, like that's the part that I like, right? Like so, like it's literally just my skill. If I got attacked by like 5 dudes, I'd probably die because I don't have that much proficiency with like martial weapons. And that's kind of the cool that I like is that like like I have a lot of experience with guns, but no one can have guns.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Imagine people coming at you with like 5 people with like martial arts with like their fucking swords, and you just
Exactly.
shoot them all down. It's like, oh, easy.
And see, in the what you would call as the temple of the church, like martial weapons are not allowed except for like swords. So like if I died, then I deserve to die. That's kind of how I look at it.
that's
It's
yeah.
it's more like a finesse of skill rather than like firepower. The guns I have now could shoot through armor that cops wear, so like it's different.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's that's just like I
It's
mean, how many
commitment.
people, yeah, how many people get to even learn that? Like I would have never considered to go learn about different marriage ceremonies, and you're over here like, I gotta have a sword and name a successor because back in
Two.
olden times, two successors. Because
No,
back
I meant
in,
like two swords.
oh yeah,
I
well
don't play
yeah,
with one.
yeah. But either way, it's like back in olden times, someone might jump you at your wedding. It's like,
Exactly, or
holy
before, or during, or after, like not after, but like before you consummate, if you will.
The thing is, which is funny, is that yeah, you're like protecting yourself, but for me, um, I want to get out of this environment, and I'm really like looking to just buy some katana, just not for self-defense, but just for some decoration, I guess you
So
could say.
So if you want, right? So katanas are different. I looked up the actual verbiage of what it is, but there's a different word between katanas and what's actually made in Japan as far as a real weapon that's made by like
Yeah,
Japanese personnel.
bet you can't just like take them on a plane or something, you
You
know?
can.
yeah, you can throw them in your carrier.
You
Yeah,
can also take
you gotta
guns
have
on the
like a
plane as long as they're
license, you know?
broken down.
It's not that easy.
Well, okay, so how about this, right? Weapons that are not weapons when they're broken down are weapons. But as they're broken down, they're pieces.
True, true.
All right, so ask me on the next real sense. So, like, the way that it works, right? So, like, just so you guys are tracking, okay? So, like, when my wife is walking around, I hold onto a silk piece, and that's why you carry a weapon. If the silk piece is broken from my hand, the weapon is null. Or, I'm sorry, the ceremony is null. So, as she walks around her family, and if I break hands with the silk that she's carrying around, the wedding is not real So that's kind of why you carry one weapon or two weapons, if you will, because like you carry them, and if it's broken, then the chain of ceremonial life is broken.
So not only did you have to worry about people jumping you, someone would just come up and rip some silk garments to.
Yes. So it's kind of like if you're in court and someone says, "I object," it's the same
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. It's the same thing as, hey, if anyone, what is that they say? If anyone has any objections, say
Yep.
them now or hold your peace. It's weird though, you know, two different cultures, probably way far apart in time when you think about it.
Super
we-
far apart.
Yeah, and they both came up with a way to go, hey, if you want to try to run after her at the airport, this is what you got to do, you know?
And see, that's exactly why I have a weapon, right? So theoretically, I can cut off their hand and they never object. And that's kind of what the theory is, anyway.
Jesus Christ. You know, I think
I
everyone
mean-
should have an Indian marriage then. This just sounds
So
like such a
also
more
it's kind
badass
it's
ceremony.
kind of cool too because they're not like one day. This shit's like a week long process.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yep. It's really fucking wild, I won't lie. Like, literally, I took a long time to study into this because, like, obviously I care about my wife, right? So I took a long time to study and realize what the fuck actually goes into it. And it's really kind of cool. Like, okay, so her family comes towards me trying to, like, giving me gifts and shit, just like when I'm, like, coming towards her family, I give her money, like, monetary values. So it's kind of like cool, or like we're trying to buy each other off, if you will. But the family only cares about the money, but whereas we care about each other.
Well, so now that's the one thing with marriage. Like, it seems like any culture, it was a way to bond two families and make a more powerful family. And that makes sense too, because then you're passing it down to your children as, you know, you're passing something better down to the next generation.
Exactly.
I
That's
think
all we're
that's-
trying to strive towards.
Yeah. And I think, like, every culture has something similar to that.
Yeah.
So
but-
here,
but-
let
but
me prerequisite that. Right?
things
So,
are things are more serious as far as you go to the east. If you're going to
Yes.
Taiwan and you have like a grinder of wheat and there's like 0.001 grams of wheat
Yeah, but we're
left in
not.
your grinder, they will put you in jail for like a year. So
Yeah,
my
but we're
wife is
not-
part of.
terrible.
My wife, actually, by her culture, is part of a royalty. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and we're not talking
Like-
about
like
laws,
royalty.
man. We're talking.
I hope you
about
guys understand what I'm
traditions.
saying.
Yeah, no, I.
Yeah, I
part of,
understand, like,
the line
If
of,
you
like,
have some
actually
sort
leading.
of royalty, like the whole fucking legal system, it completely is
Here,
like
how about this,
I
right?
wouldn't
So,
say
like,
upside down, but it's like even like more complicated than that.
so do you guys know anything about Indian culture? I guess.
Yeah, I would say I got a
I
base
do.
level.
All right,
Yeah.
so she's not Hindi, if you will. There are two different, really big cultural differences. She's part of the Sikh religion, which Sikh is more close to Pakistani. And the other warrior priests of their culture. That's why I said, like, like the warrior cleric level. They're the part that are part of the defense personnel, like they're part of the DoD of India, like they have a Sikh fucking regiment, like they're the people that like actually fight for the country.
Yeah, I think I've heard some of that.
So it's very different, I suppose. Like if you want to look at it, India is divided by a mountain, and she's in the northwest cultural dividends.
Yeah, well, I know about the Asian region with China and how fucking oppressive they are. So
Yeah, but we're not here to talk about that though. We're talking about Drew here, man, and what he's had to
Yeah.
experience
So
so far.
he's like on the edge of where these like legal things like kind of collide with each other.
But that's a part of like what's living with life, or that's what I feel like, right? So you're always living on the edge of what is good or not good.
Exactly. Exactly.
I feel like the way I'm living life is good. That's just me, right? So like I try to do by right, and that her family doesn't accept me doesn't actually hurt me. And like it's a working thing between me and her. Like, so we've been married like 3 years now, right? And she's talking about like having our marriage ceremony still. And like I'm kind of salty about it, but that's like the white, or if you will, like United States version of saying like that shit kind of fucked up. But that shit kind of fucked up. Um, I still do it because I love my wife. And that's kind of the difference, I guess, is that like, like most people don't view the same way as I view, and that's okay. Like I'm not hating about it by any means, but like I would still have my marriage ceremony like 5 years after. That's cool.
Yeah, but as this guy said, right? You're living on the edge, right? I mean, this is like not a safe space, you know? Like you're
Why
like on
wouldn't
the
it be
edge.
safe?
You're on the edge because you're like between like two big powers in the sense that some people approve of what you're doing and just like a
It
couple
shouldn't matter what they
kilometers
approve
away.
or disapprove of.
True. It shouldn't matter, but it does in some way.
Even if it
So
does, it doesn't matter. My resolve is by the swords, if you will, because that's all they can use there.
yeah, it's like you'll be
No, there is
safe.
no yeah, but like my resolve is by the swords I use and the
Yeah,
swords they
like
use.
the Chinese government will never go
Well,
that far
well,
to hit
that's not
you.
what we're not. Yeah, well, we're not talking about that though, man.
This is Asian culture by the Indian culture,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
So
but
like if they disapprove, like check this out. If they disapprove and they kill me, then that is what it is. But they won't because I'm not a bitch. It's kind of how I feel about it.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, you're not in a risk area in the sense that the
It
Chinese
is a risk
government.
area, actually, because when I
Yeah,
got my clearance
but
checked
but
again
they're
as a
never going
civilian,
out of their way to hit you. You know, like
no, they
so.
do actually.
Yeah, but not regularly. I think I could be wrong.
Okay, so how about this? By the U.S. government, I was checked multiple times because of my marriage with my wife and her parents that weren't born in the U.S. So yes, you are checked.
Yeah, that I can attest to. Um, that definitely, and I'm sure his wife has had plenty of struggle doing stuff in the
Well, she was
military
born
too.
here, so it was okay.
Yeah, but they still like as she progresses up. But you've told me she's on way different trajectory.
Yep.
I'm sure they
She's
would be like, why is this? They ask that question. This person's parents weren't born here. Why are they doing
yep.
this,
They'll
and
do the
this?
same thing.
Okay, so let me just say, like, your risk is way less high than your woman's risk because
No,
that
it's the
is.
same.
You think it's the same? Yeah.
Yeah, she
It's the
could be
Okay.
same. I
Can,
don't
shunned
think
by
it
her
is. I know it
family,
is.
and she could
could
be.
you explain why is the same?
Yeah, I can exactly explain, and it's exactly what I started with this. Like, right, so I'm a security manager in the army. I'm a physical security officer, anti-terrorism officer. Like, there's a lot of things that I do in the army as a civilian that are the same thing that are correlated military, right? So,
But
like, I work as a DoD, so Department of Defense, in the civilian side, and I also work in the army on the both sides.
So your
So
job is to take those civilians like cross the border safely. That's basically your
not
job.
cross the border. What I'm saying is that I find out who are threats and not threats.
Okay. So the people that are not threats, you try to take them into a safe haven, so to say.
No. You're misunderstanding, right? So my wife is U.S. born.
Okay. And the
So that
people,
is less of a
but
threat
you're
because
acting in the region, like on the border. So what exactly are you doing at the border there?
what I do is I have them justify their lives and do all the things that like actually make sense. Like I literally have them tell the truth. If they tell the truth and then it reaches higher and they come down and they're like, this dude's good, cool, they're good. I don't judge anything more than that.
So you're basically screening people.
Yes.
Okay. I understand. I mean, that's I have respect for that a lot.
Here, I'll be right back. Like literally, okay, so this is what I was talking about like before. Like I gotta piss like after I say this, but like if people tell the truth, it's better, right? Because people are gonna find out the truth or not, regardless of what you say to me. That's kind of what how my
But
job is.
but it's a matter who you tell the truth to.
It doesn't matter, no.
I mean, if you tell the truth to like Chinese officials, you're getting fucked.
That's neither here nor there. I'm not
Yeah,
a
he's
Chinese
not.
official, so I can't speak for it.
Yeah, and he's not gonna interact with them really. I don't. There's not
Okay.
gonna
I'll
be
be
a.
right back though. I gotta piss.
Yeah, there's not gonna be a time where he's gonna have that interaction with them.
Yeah, for me it's very interesting because I'm into politics and I'm just like, where do you draw the line, you know?
What do you
And
mean?
that's
What line needs drawn here?
like, which Chinese people do you think are like for real, and which people are just trying to seek asylum? And how are you like judging like, oh, this is a real asylum seeker, and this is just like,
Well, in the position he's describing, he's just checking their backgrounds and hearing what they have to say.
yeah,
And yeah,
exactly. Like in his position, there's not even a question of like on which side are you on, because the sides are so obviously drawn that you already know, like, hey, this guy seeks freedom and this guy seeks not. But in Europe, it's a whole different situation. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm not trying to
Mr.
make some.
Political View, you. Check this out, right? Real life. Like, okay, as shitty as it sounds, right? I'm okay with you feeling the way you want to feel, but your feels are just feels. They're not any action. They're not any, like, dereliction of duty. You are just seeing things and reacting to them, right? But even reacting to them, you're taking no action. Yours is just knowledge. And I hate to be a fucking dick, but that's all you are is knowledge.
hmm. Anyways,
Alright, Navi, ask me about my childhood or something that's different because apparently there was no
no,
counter to
that
that.
that was interesting though. So, um, God, holy shit. So, what led you on this journey, man? What made you join up and decide you wanted to be all that you could be? What led to that? And just ended up leading to these crazy ceremonies, which not crazy, but you know what I'm saying.
So, like, on the real, right? My old man salesman, he actually joined the army for a little bit, but that's later in the story. So let me start like before that.
Start
So I was
before time had even existed, man. Let's go.
all right. So my old man salesman, right? My parents kind of grew up really fucking poor. Um, I'm a prom baby. I'll be the first to admit that that shit don't offend me by any means. Um,
Like a prom night dumpster baby.
exactly. Similar, right?
Yeah, these things
Um,
happen.
where do I go from this? So I've moved 20 times before I finished high school. So I moved a
Jesus
lot.
Christ. That had to be
Um,
tough.
it's not so bad. It's actually really good to learn how to communicate with people, like, just like knowing people in general. But like, I was born in Minnesota. I moved back and forth between Minnesota and Illinois for a long time. Ended up finishing in Illinois with my high school career. Um, before I joined the military, so like it was kind of funny, right? I joined the military in what is it, 2012. But before that, I tried to join in 2010 when I graduated from high school. My mom and dad talked me out of doing it when I wanted to. Went to college for a little bit, decided it wasn't for me, and then I joined the military. So it's kind of like the short sense, if you will. If you have any more specific questions to that, then I can answer. I'm the eldest of three kids. Karma Watapo is my younger brother, and my sister doesn't play RuneScape. She used to, but not anymore.
So you traveled to a whole bunch of different high schools, attempt to join the army. And
Not
then,
high schools, just schools.
yeah, just schools, attempt to join the army. That doesn't happen, and then you did join.
Correct.
So why didn't the first time? And maybe I spaced there for a split second, but I
Sure,
don't
no,
think
I can explain it again. So, my mom and dad, my dad is really smart. My mom is not so much. She's empathetic, but like, different degrees of like good, if you will. Um, my old man was like okay with it. My mom was not okay with it. I said that I'm too smart for the army, which to be honest, I really am, but that's not here nor there, right?
Yeah, no, I get it. Someone doesn't want their kid to just sort of boot up.
Die, right? Because
Yeah,
what I
that
was going to
too.
do was I was going to join infantry in the beginning, right? So like dumb.
Yeah. You're almost eating a box of crayons. We know.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't do that. I went to college for a little bit, and it was just like high school all over again. Hated it. Hated every second of it. So then I joined the reserves. Been in the reserves for like 10 years now.
Well, that's a good place to be too, just weekends. Isn't that how they sell that to people? Just weekends.
Yep, just weekends, 2 weeks of the year, right? It's fucking terrible. I mean, like, honestly, okay.
Well, wait, are you saying that's a lie when they say it's just weekends, 2 weekends out of the year?
So how about this, right? So like realistically you should do 60 days of duty per year, right? 60 out of like 364. Is that what a year is?
365 is a year.
365. Okay. I do 210 on average.
Yeah, it sounds like someone lied at the recruiting office.
No. I do it because I want to.
Okay.
The difference is that like I actually care about what I do. That's kind of what I meant to get by that statement.
Yeah, no, I get it. My friend, you give a fuck.
I do give a fuck. I teach people to like be better than themselves. Okay, so the first person I met, like when I became an NCO, which is non-commissioned officer, I told him to get out of the army, right? Because they're super smart, like smarter than me, right? I talk to the person still like, like once every couple of months, but like even still, like that means something. They make $400,000 a year.
Do you feel you could have done that?
I don't care.
Ah,
Realistic. I know that seems kind of shitty. I don't care. The money is not for me. I didn't join the army for money.
I mean,
I didn't live a hard life.
if you're thinking of joining the army for money, I mean, I don't think you're someone that would have made that money.
Exactly. And so that's kind of the part where like I'm trying to help people, right? Like he was going to make money because he's smart. For me, it's helping people. I love it. I love every second of it. I love every time I can help someone do something that's like better than what they're at right now, right? Because they've had shitty leaders, they've had shitty lives. Like I
upbringing.
can just help them.
Yeah, terrible parents. I mean, and that's a great feeling when you can help someone, when you can, especially if you help them put together those blocks and get it rolling. And that
Exactly.
itself can be addicting.
It's putting the puzzles together to make a picture. I literally that's why I joined the army, to make people
Better.
get on the same level as me, because I did not live that life.
I mean,
I
that's
lived a
that's
tame life, if you will.
yeah. I mean, I would say a lot of lives are tame. We no longer have the bear chasing us in the woods anymore. You know, the
You would think
wolves
it's
are.
tame, but it's different kind of tame. You know what I'm saying? I lived in a life where like I was never like not want for food, not want for care, not want for affection. Some people don't live those lives. And I want them to feel like that they can talk to me and I can help them in the right path because I care and feel and
And that's
want
good,
them to
man.
do well.
And that's good. And I think you know, a lot more people need that. And I think as a culture, we sort of remove that from people. You know, you can't in this day and age. It's hard to be the teacher that sees that struggling kid and want to sort of fill in those gaps they're missing. You know what I mean?
It's not hard, it's just more caring, right? So, like, if you have 50 students per year, that's a lot. When I have, I don't know, 10 people underneath me, it's a lot easier to help. And some people do it, some people don't. That's part of what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying my wife is lucky. She is outranked by me, but she has me.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I rank her in both sides, civ and military. I'm not saying that I wanted to seem like a douchey ass shit, but like I can guide her into being better. And that's the part I like. That's why I became an instructor in the army.
So are you saying? Well, what if she
How about
doesn't
this?
want that
I'll
guidance?
prerequisite that with she will outrank me soon.
Yeah, that's very a good way of putting it.
She will. So she'll become an officer, which is the people you salute. And I'm actually looking forward to it. Like, my goal is to become an E8, which is a first sergeant or master sergeant in the army, and that's a second to the highest rank you can get as enlisted.
Are you
And
gonna
she'll
salute her every morning?
now I'm gonna salute her when she becomes promoted, which will be like really, really, really fucking cool for her. Because she'll normally have someone that's like my rank or less.
Hey, after you
No,
salute her, are you gonna lead with "It's my duty to please that booty"?
pretty much. It just
Oh,
looks good. I won't lie. Like I know you're making a joke, but for me, it's an honor thing. I'm gonna have like the highest degree of honor saluting her.
well, and that's good, man. That's a good dynamic there. I can't say anything negative.
Well, it's like literally the second highest ranking on the enlisted side, saluting someone that's like fucking the lowest ranking on the commission side. That's real big for anyone because they're gonna have like literally less than my rank now saluting them in their ceremony.
So, to go in a different direction, now is the time I ask you some form questions.
Sure.
Sure. So, what advice do you got for all the people out there, man?
In what sense? I guess civ, military. What do you want to know?
I'm saying in general, if there was one piece you're dying and you want to pass one piece of information on, your last couple breaths, you know.
So if I had to give anyone advice, I would say that education is key, right? But knowledge is something you don't learn from school. You gotta learn shit by yourself. That's experience. You gotta have experience and knowledge. Those are the key things together. It's okay to fuck up. How about that? It's okay to fuck up, and it's okay to make up from your rights and wrongs, right? You have to know what the difference between the two are, and that's what I would say is experience. You have to know what is wrong and right. You have to make the right decision or the wrong decision. It's okay to make either, but as long as you commit to either right or wrong fully, you become a better person. That's what the karma of life is.
And even though I think your mic's fucked up there, Jerby. So even though you haven't done said ceremony, do you feel you would recommend that to anyone?
I actually, as weird as this sounds, mixture of cultures is probably better for most people, right? You get rid of bigotry, you get rid of like any of that dumb shit, right? So like I'm not gonna say my kids' life are gonna be any easier than mine. And honestly, as fucked up as it sounds, I hope it's harder because it'll teach them more.
It'll harden them, you know.
Exactly.
Steel sharpens steel, they say, you know.
You don't become soft steel. That sense, yes.
You don't become
And they'll
soft
still
steel.
have me to like lean towards, right? So if they're having harder times, I can help them through it. Like, okay, so like even in a real sense, I've had multiple people that I call peers and they're not my peers and they talk to me and I give them guidance. But like the sense I want my kids to come to me when they're having issues and I can deal with it. And that's not like that they can't deal with it, but like if it's dealing like kid to adult, I can deal with it. If it's kid to kid, I want them to deal with it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Well, and they gotta learn. That's how you build interpersonal skills, and you know most people experience some bully in their life, and you either learn that once you stand up, they'll back down most of the time, and problem solved, or you'll keep going. You know.
Soft steel or hard steel? Yes, I agree with you.
Are you hearing him and I'm not hearing him?
I'm not hearing him.
Yeah, he's just coming through as a blur. You might have to disconnect and reconnect, Jerby.
In the real sense, the best thing I can give to people is like be yourself. I know that seems really generic, but like yourself is the strongest person or not person you can do, right? So like I was explaining earlier, if you can change four people, right? You're one, and that's four. That's five people, right? There's what 5.4 billion people in the world. Five doesn't seem that much, but if you change those four people and you are one, and they change four people, and they change four people, and they change four people, that becomes a ripple effect, if you will. You want the ripple effect because that becomes a prominent effect, right? It's a fucking wave in the ocean. So it might not make a difference in our age. And that's okay. This age is
It's done.
sus, if you will.
Yeah. Our time
But
is done. It is your turn.
exactly. You want your peers or subordinates, if you will, if you want to look at that, or even your kids, right? You want them to do better than you. That's always the goal in every age.
Yeah, that's generally generational. if you, I can't imagine
Yo.
anyone who. How's it going?
Hello.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah, I just fixed it. Congratulations to me. Thank you.
Good job.
Oh man, I had so many things to say, but maybe
can
it's a
imagine.
good thing that you were like just talking between you guys. You know, it's fine.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to say something, then whatever. But my suggestion would be let Navi finish what he was going to say, and then you can say what you want to say.
Oh, I
No, no,
think
no.
I'm out. I think I'm out of questions, man. I think I did a pretty good job here. A little hectic in the beginning.
I, I
Let's.
mean, I would like to keep it short, but right now I don't have anything to say. So please continue your conversation, and if I have something to say, I will break in and say right out what I think.
Well, how about before then, Jeremy? What were your questions before? Like anything you wanted me to go on? Because
Yeah,
I don't mind talking by any means or trying to justify myself. So, all right. So on the end, right? What I want to say is that like from what led you to this position or not, regardless of the decisions you made, the past, present, future of how you view life, you need to live in the now. A lot of people live in the past. You can't live in the past, right? So like you can see the errors you made before and then improve or not improve, right? That's just people in general. What you need to do is view the past, see the present, and understand the future. So what you need to do as people is lift the people around you. And I mean that in the sense of like not necessarily selfless, right? Because we gain things we want to gain from people to make ourselves better too. So that's not entirely selfless. What you need to see is that like we're selfish beings. Once you understand that you're selfish, right? Once you understand you're selfish, you need to understand what's actually important. So for me, what I would say as a person, I know this seems kind of cliche, if you will, but helping people get to the point that I am or better is more important than where I am as a person. So if I help someone get to my position or higher, it won't make me jealous. It won't make me feel any type of way, right? Because monetary value doesn't mean anything to me. But to some people, it does. For me, seeing people evolve into better beings is more important. As people, I feel like that's more important. So just look out for your fellow people. Be who you're going to be. Regardless if it's good or bad, doesn't matter. Good or bad is based on who views it, right? Live your life to the extent that you want to live it, but also help the people that are not at that point of view. That's kind of where I want to end it. I don't know. That seems kind of dumb. I hate it. But like mostly like that's what I do. So like here,